One of the most expensive lenses that you can buy for your Sony camera is the 600mm f4 from Sony. That lens will set you back $13,000 US. Let's say you want a telephoto lens, but you have 2.5% of that $13,000, right around 300 bucks. I guess that's really where this TTartisan comes in. This is the brand new 500mm F6.3. And if you don't mind manual focus, you don't mind no weather sealing, you don't mind not having any sort of optical stabilization, this is a very budget-friendly way to get very close to the action. Let's check it out. It comes in this large silver box. Inside there is a card with the TTartisan logo, some foam, and the lens nestled in here. There is a warranty card and a user manual, and this lens comes with a plastic rear lens cap and a metal tension fit front lens cap, and also a metal lens hood that screws onto the front. Construction is all metal and glass. It feels well built and not cheap. Weight is an astonishing 1,672 grams, which is nearly 4 pounds. Around the rear there is a metal mount, no electronic connections, no weather sealing, and no lens element back here either. It's way inside this barrel. There is a removable tripod mount with 2 mounting holes on the bottom. And about halfway on the barrel you get the focus ring. This is one of the stiffest focus rings I've ever tried. Super duper stiff with a lot of resistance, but it's pretty smooth. Rotation is just a touch over 180 degrees, and there is a focal distance scale with clear markings. Minimum focus looks to be about 11 feet or 3.3 meters. In front of that is a smaller aperture ring, also stiff, that moves from f6.3 to f32. And then you have this protruding front lens barrel with some info on it. ED glass, tele lens, 500mm f6.3, large aperture, which I don't know if f6.3 would qualify, cinema scene, and super MC. And I think that these markings are a bit silly. Is it a cinema scene lens? I don't really think so. And does super multi-coating and ED glass really need to be displayed so prominently? That is a design decision, I suppose. Anyway, around the front there is a huge front lens element and some more specs. Yes, this is a DJ optical release, perhaps the biggest DJ optical hit that we've seen in our lifetime. Lens specs, 82mm filter thread, TTartisan logo, and a super long serial number. Inside, I don't have much in terms of lens specs, but I do count a 12-bladed diaphragm. Mounted on my A7C, it's a formidable looking combo. Very heavy, and you do have to hold the setup by the lens. So it's well built, it's big, it's heavy, and it is inexpensive. But how does it perform? Well, I took it out with my Sony A7C, and optically, it was surprisingly not bad. Wide open at f6.3, you don't get the greatest contrast levels, but they are acceptable. Sharpness is also about average, but as you stop it down, it gets really good. I think around f11 is the sweet spot with this lens where you have good contrast and good sharpness. The one thing that you notice immediately wide open is the chromatic aberration, which is strong. Again, stopping this lens down to f8 and f11 helps immensely. Second issue is flaring, which is odd. I don't know how to describe it. This is also with the additional lens hood attached, but it makes some strange flare for sure. As far as other distortion, there's not much else to report. Vignetting is not much of an issue. There's no barrel or pincushion that I noticed, and focus breathing is nearly non-existent. So this is a cheap telephoto lens that is a lot better than other cheap telephoto lenses out on the market. I've tested many of them on this channel, and in most cases they are simply optically unusable. This lens optically is usable, however, it's not very easy to use. First of all, if you are planning on getting this for wildlife, just don't. Unless the wildlife that you shoot is sleeping, it's very hard to shoot moving subjects at 500mm. It's hard to focus at 500mm. It's hard to keep this lens stable at 500mm. In fact, nearly every shot that I took with this lens was on a tripod with a 5-second delay and a non-moving subject. And even then, I felt at times like I needed a sturdier tripod. And I questioned my focus at times. That being said, I did capture some moon shots, which I think were some of the best photos that I took with this lens. If you do want to shoot handheld, it's possible, just again, hard to take a sharp photo that way. That being said, if you are looking for one of the cheapest ways to get a 500mm telephoto lens with great build that has acceptable optical quality, this TTartisan is in a class of its own. There's not much out there that competes with this apart from perhaps adopting vintage telephoto lenses, but those come with their own sets of issues. use. Now, is this as good as having a lens with autofocus and optical stabilization? Well, absolutely not. It makes a lot of sense why those lenses are so much more money, because they are infinitely easier to use. However, if you do have a slightly larger budget than $300, you can get a third-party lens that will get you close to 500 millimeters for, let's say, under $1,000 US. But let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all of your likes and your comments. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.